Hi friends, welcome to vlearnias. The video you have seen a few minutes back shows the thawing of ice sheet in Arctic region. You see this picture here, you can see there is a cleavage in ice. This phenomena of breaking the icebergs is known as thawing of ice. So this is a phenomenon that is occurring very frequently in Arctic region and also is in Antarctic region in the South Pole also. So there are so much impact that is happening throughout the globe, both meteorological, oceanographical and physiographical impact throughout the globe due to this. So this phenomenon of having thawing of ice is known as Arctic amplification. Today we are taking this topic for our environment current affairs discussion. So I welcome all for the discussion. The topic can be correlated to climate change in GS paper 3, environment pollution and degradation in GS paper 3. So let's begin the discussion. So this is a news article that came of asking what is causing the Arctic warming. Mainly the Greenland, an island which is full of ice sheet. Greenland ice sheet is retreating at an alarming rate, and how is it affecting the monsoon and several other climatological phenomena throughout the world. So let us look. This is what is current aspect. Graphics show about the warming of Earth's surface. Just look in the North Pole. Earlier it was of ice sheet. Now the temperature here is rising throughout. Temporal graph is showing the increase in temperature. So reaching up to 2020, the peak in the rise in temperature is rising up to 2 degrees Celsius, which is a very alarming situation. Why is the Greenland ice sheet melting at an alarming rate, and how is affecting the monsoon? So the answer to this is the global warming. Due to global warming, any change in the surface air temperature and the net radiation balance tends to produce large changes at the north and south pole. The changes are more pronounced at the northern latitude and are known as Arctic amplification. You already know that our Earth, sunrise falls on the Earth's surface and radiates back. This radiating heat is trapped by gases known as greenhouse gases, leading to increase in temperature. This phenomena is known as global warming. So as a result of increasing temperature due to this phenomena of global warming, there is a huge rate of thawing of ice sheet or breaking of ice sheet at both north and south pole. So this is more pronounced at the northern part. Since there is more contrast of land and sea in the northern region, there will be huge temperature anomaly also. That means huge temperature difference both daytime and annual time also. So since it is more pronounced in the Arctic region, this phenomena is known as Arctic amplification. So this is what you mean by Arctic amplification. So I think you got it clearly. Now let's look into what is the current status. So in May 2021, a mission known as Arctic Monitoring and Assessment Program was carried out to look into how the condition of ice sheet is that. But the outcome of the report that is an alarming one. That is, Arctic has warmed 3 times quicker than the planet. That means if Earth is warming at a rate of 2 degrees Celsius, then Arctic is warming at a rate of 6 degrees Celsius. So it is a very disturbing noting that we have got. In India also have a very good study in this region. A group of scientists under collaboration of India and Norwegia, that is Norway, especially on the Barents and Kara Sea region. We will look into next slide in the location of these seas. Show that this thawing has led to extreme rainfall events, especially in our monsoon. Traditionally, earlier with the studies, the traditional studies believed that this monsoon occurring in the earth on the Indian subcontinent was mainly from Arabian Sea and also moving of Arabian Bay of Bengal region. But the current study shows that the occurrence of this phenomena of monsoon is also is an outcome of thawing of Arctic or Arctic warming, also has an impact on monsoon also. So on this backdrop, it is very important for India to have a study on this region to look on how the change can affect our monsoon also. Okay, mapping location, especially when the examination you might will get to arrange these in east or east to west direction or west to east direction. So these are the important sea in the Arctic Ocean region. First is Barents Sea, then comes Kara Sea, then comes Leftev Sea. Okay. So among the important other places is Kara Strait, which is an important place, and this Svalbard in Norway is an important space also where so much research stations are there. So please keep note of these locations. Repeatedly, please look into these locations. So again, some findings. Now the Finland Meteorological Institute also have found out a certain finding that saying that Arctic is heating 4 times faster than the rest of the planet. Similarly, an American Geophysical Union is also showing the same result, that 2 or 3 times faster the Arctic region is warming when compared to other regions of the globe. So both these reports showing a very alarming situation in the Arctic region. So on this background, just look into what are the main reasons that are causing this warming effect. So we know what is this Arctic amplification. This global warming can increase a long-term heating of the Earth's surface. Now it is estimated that it is rising up to 1.1 degrees Celsius rise in temperature. So this pronounced change in air temperature and net radiation imbalance can lead to a phenomenon known as polar amplification. That means amplification in the polar region. So both north and south pole will get amplified due to the increase in temperature. So this Arctic amplification is part of this polar amplification. That means both North Pole and South Pole is getting amplified with increase in temperature, and this Arctic amplification specifically looks upon the region of Arctic. That is known as Arctic amplification. So let's look into what are the causes that are causing it. So there are many causes that are driving this amplification phenomenon. So one of the first one is an ice albedo feedback, lapse rate feedback, water vapor feedback, ocean heat transport feedback. So these are major primary causes. So what is ice albedo feedback? We know that when uh, Earth radiation fall on the surface of ice, majority of it are reflected back by the ice. This is mainly because the absorptive power of this ice crystal is very less, so they reflect majority of the radiation. This phenomena is known as ice albedo feedback. Then lapse rate feedback. This lapse rate feedback is nothing. When outgoing long-wave radiation from the Earth's surface, with increase in height, their temperature decreases. So this phenomenon of a decrease in temperature with increase in altitude is known as lapse rate. So this lapse rate feedback is also impacting this Arctic amplification. Then comes water vapor feedback. This is nothing, the amount of water vapor that is there in the atmosphere and how much heat is absorbed by this water vapor. Then ocean heat transport. We know that in ocean there is a phenomenon known as ocean currents. It is considered as the conveyor belt. So it transports heat and other things throughout the globe. So it is also have an impact on Arctic amplification. Let's look into major reasons and analysis of this. Sea ice and snow have high albedo that I have already told, implying that they are capable of reflecting most of the solar radiation. In the Arctic case, the global warming is resulting in the diminishing sea ice. As sea ice melts, the Arctic Ocean will be more capable of absorbing solar radiation. What is happening that with increase in temperature in Arctic region, the amount of snow is decreasing day by day. As a result, more and more radiation from the Earth is absorbed in this region. This will in turn have a cyclic effect by increasing temperature of that region and leading to Arctic amplification. So this phenomenon is known as ice albedo feedback. Please note these are very important keywords in your exam, especially when you write GS paper 3 environment. There are certain keywords like climate change drivers, like ice albedo feedback, lapse rate feedback. These keywords are very important. Please take note of it. Now, what about studies say? Studies have shown that Arctic was warming twice the global rate than prior to the beginning of 21st century. Now, the current report, a report named as Special Report on Ocean and Cryosphere in Climate Change. It also says that Arctic surface air temperature is increased by more than double the global average. A few years back also there was a question by UPSC means about the impact on cryosphere. Majority of the aspirants don't know about the term cryosphere, but it is considered as important ecosystem within the Earth's surface, where ice sheet and other ecosystem prevails. So the studies paper of Special Report on Ocean and Cryosphere also shows about increase in temperature in this region. Now, what about studies say? Studies have shown that Arctic was warming twice the global rate than prior to the beginning of 21st century. Now, the current report, a report named as Special Report on Ocean and Cryosphere in Climate Change. It also says that Arctic surface air temperature is increased by more than double the global average. A few years back also there was a question by UPSC means about the impact on cryosphere. Majority of the aspirants don't know about the term cryosphere, but it is considered as important ecosystem within the Earth's surface, where ice sheet and other ecosystem prevails. So the studies paper of Special Report on Ocean and Cryosphere also shows about increase in temperature in this region. At the same time, certain other studies like Arctic Monitoring and Assessment Program also gives a similar result. The report also says that there is an annual temperature increase in the region by 3.1 degrees Celsius. So it is a very alarming one because annually the temperature is increasing by 3.1 degrees Celsius, which will lead to a situation where at one point of time in future where there will be no ice sheet, everything will be melt, and there will be another cyclic phenomenon like sea level rise and other drastic or catastrophic events throughout the globe. So now let's look into what now we have seen what are the important causes. Now let's look into what are the important consequences of Arctic warming. The causes and consequences of Arctic warming are cyclical. This is what I have been saying so far, that one phenomenon that is occurring will lead to another phenomenon, and this another phenomenon will lead to another one. Finally, it will reach where the point it started. This process is known as cyclic process. So when a Greenland ice sheet melts, it will absorb more and more radiation. So this absorption more and more radiation in turn increase the heat of that region. This will again lead to melting of ice. So this phenomenon continues. Okay, these consequences have a cyclic in nature. In 2019, this was the single biggest cause for rise in sea level, about 1.5 meters. That means the thawing of ice, especially in the North Pole like Greenland, had led to an increase in sea level rise about 1.5 meters. So it is that drastic that it will subsume some of the island countries and major coastal cities. A report has said that one of our important cities like Mumbai will be drowned in future if the situation continues. So it is very much important to take care of the situation right now. Another impact of this Arctic amplification is, first one is there will be acidification of water. What do you mean by acidification? This acidification is nothing but a reduce in the pH value in the ocean water. So what happens is that when there is an increase in temperature, there will be more and more H plus ion formation. This H plus hydronium ion formation will lead to more acidity in the overall water level. This acidity is very much harmful for the ecosystem in the ocean, especially fish, marine, and other plant species also. So it is very much careful to this. then changes in the salinity level that we all know. Another important aspect is it will impact biodiversity, especially marine species and the dependent species. So whole food chain cycle will be disturbed. The warming is also increasing the incidence of rainfall. We know that this ocean, if this is ocean, is corresponding atmosphere always act as a single system. Okay, so any alteration in the ocean ecosystem can alter the atmospheric ecosystem. So it will have an impact on the atmospheric ecosystem, especially in the variability of rainfall or incidence of rainfall. This is how these changes will affect phenomena like monsoon and another meteorological aspect like several other extreme events like cyclone, typhoon, etc. So the permafrost in the Arctic is thawing and in turn release carbon and methane, which are major greenhouse responsible for global warming. So this is another cyclic nature. We already said that the consequences are cyclic in nature. So when this ice sheet melts, there will be some old vegetation drowned in this permafrost. So more and more carbon will be released again into the atmosphere due to the thawing of ice. So as a result of increase in the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, it will again lead to phenomena of global warming. So this global warming in turn again increases the rise in temperature. So again it is a cyclic process. So cyclic consequences are there. Okay. So let's specifically focus on the region of India, how this is impacting Indian region. In recent years, scientists have pondered over the impact of this changing Arctic over our subcontinent. The link between the two is growing importance due to extreme weather events in the country faces heavy reliance on rainfall for water and food security. So it is saying that since our country is in a peninsular location, this thawing of ice sheet is very much essential for our monsoon and origin and incidence of monsoon and its variability. So study of this thawing or Arctic amplification is essential to know, is vital for our food security aspect, our water security aspect, and overall our economic aspect depends upon this, especially agriculture sector which depends upon monsoon. So a study on this is very much critical for Indian point of view also. Studies carried out a possible relation between Arctic sea ice and late season Indian summer monsoon rainfall events. These are carried out in the region of Barents and Kara Sea by both Indian and Norwegian scientists. So the studies found that the changes in the atmospheric circulation due to diminishing sea ice combined with warm temperature in the Arabian Sea contribute to enhanced moisture and drive to extreme rainfall events. That means it is saying that a study was carried out in the Arctic region, especially in the Barents and Kara Sea region by India and Norwegian scientists. A study says that this increase in the temperature of this region has increased the temperature in the Arabian Sea region. This Arabian Sea region increase in temperature has again led to extreme events like cyclones. So traditionally, it is a Bay of Bengal region that is notorious for cyclone. This is mainly because the region is more warmed compared to Arabian Sea region. But this phenomena of Arctic amplification is leading to an increase in the temperature rise in the Arabian Sea region. That's why frequently now the coastal states on the western part of India, especially Kerala and other parts, receiving very increased incidence of rainfall. Recently, we have seen an increase in monsoon rainfall in coastal states like Kerala, which leading to flood-like situation there. So it will lead to increase in extreme rainfall events. India also deployed a research station in the Arctic region known as India Arc. It also works in the Svalbard region, which I have shown earlier. So it is also having a study on the Arctic Ocean amplification and its impact on the monsoon and other regions. There is a report by World Meteorological Organization known as State of Global Climate in 2021. It also indicates that a sea level along the Indian coast is rising faster at a global average rate. And it says that a primary reason for this is amplification in the Arctic region. So this report also gives a hint of Arctic amplification and its impact on Indian coastal regions. So on this aspect, we must be looking upon a institution known as Arctic Circle. So it is a grouping which includes countries which borders the Arctic region. The important countries which borders this Arctic region is Canada, United States, Russia, Finland, Sweden, Norway, Iceland, Greenland, etc. Okay, these are the important countries that are circling this Arctic Ocean. So these are major members of Arctic Circle. It is these countries that mainly carries out the research and other activities in this region. You know why this region is now gaining more much geopolitical significance? Because this thawing of Arctic region has given a positive advantage to these countries to have more connectivity option. And they have possible connectivity to the other part of continent through this region, especially Russia. So all the geopolitical ice are on this region, and above that, when this ice thaws, there will be a lot of resource deposit in this region, which is also very much good for these countries since they are facing fossil fuel crisis. So this is the feedback loop of Arctic amplification. Now let's look into how it occurs. Primary reason is global warming. This leads to what near surface air temperature rise. This again leads to meridional transport. That is nothing that the change in the radiation transport with all the aspects atmosphere, ocean, and sea ice. Okay, this will lead to what? More aerosol in the atmosphere surface occurs, reducing stability of more water vapor in the clouds, more downward terrestrial radiation occurs. This leads to larger atmospheric energy fluxes. This leads to what? Sea ice, snow melts, etc. And also another aspect is that this increase in aerosol will lead to lower surface albedo. So when lower surface albedo occurs also, there will be a rise in temperature. Also warmer ocean mixing of layer. This will also lead to stability of water vapor. So this infographic shows how cyclic and interconnected the whole phenomenon is. Okay, so nothing stands in isolation. Everything works as a whole system. So any changes or positive or negative feedback to any one of these components can have an impact on the other. The whole phenomena continues like a loop. So this is what the whole cyclic impact we can sum up, like increase in rise in temperature leading to Arctic sea ice melts. This again have a reflecting aspect on the ice melts. So again leading to temperature rise. These are the main primary reasons for increasing this Arctic amplification. First is change in albedo that we discussed earlier on the reduction in the absorbing power of ice sheet leading to increase in temperature of that region. Then changing ocean currents. This change in temperature in the Arctic region also leads to increased temperature in the ocean water transport. As a result, these ocean currents transport this more warmer water to other parts of the globe, leading to increase in temperature throughout other regions of the globe. For example, and warming in the Arctic Ocean can have an increase in temperature in the Atlantic Ocean, since this warmer water transported to this Atlantic Ocean. Since all the global water is interconnected, any change in one can have an impact on the other. Changing weather is also an important reason. You know that with increase in phenomena like global warming and other human-induced reasons, there are changes in several meteorological aspects. Example, polar jet stream and their frequencies are altered, especially in the northern hemisphere. So these changes can have an impact on the weather system of our countryside also, especially if extreme weather events like thunderstorms, cyclones are occurring frequently. Then now the region itself will have an impact due to this. So floating sea ice cover on the Arctic Ocean is shrinking, especially during summer. Snow cover over the land in the Arctic has decreased notably in the spring. The frozen ground in the Arctic as permafrost is warming and many areas are thawing. So there are a lot of ice breaks happening throughout the globe due to this. So when comparing with Antarctica, it is said that there is no Antarctic amplification that I have found so far. The Antarctic warming has been similar to the global average, though some parts are warming much faster. This is because it is surrounded by vast southern ocean which is soaking up much of the atmospheric excess heat. You know that why we term it as amplification. Since it is temperature increases when relative compared to the whole global system, it is known as amplification. So in Arctic, what happening is that this temperature rise is very much high when compared to global average. At the same time, this Antarctic region, this temperature rise is not that much high. This is mainly because this Antarctic region is surrounded by ocean water, so increase in this temperature is evenly distributed to the other ocean waters. So there is no that much concentration of heat on that particular region. So what are the other effects that can cause? A higher effect will cause an increase in sea level. This will in turn cause a destruction in the ecosystem, displacement, loss of life and property. Arctic permafrost though is also releasing the potent greenhouse gas, so it will again cause a global warming effect. Even in this ice field sheet, there are incidents of increasing fire also. This is known as zombie fire, which is also increasing year by year. So this is also an event that is happening in the Arctic region. Now let's look into how this is impacting on the Indian monsoon. We already discussed how this monsoon pattern is changed because of this warming of Arabian Ocean as a result of this Arctic amplification. Now we will discuss about the basics of Indian monsoon, what is monsoon and what are speculatives and everything. So whenever we study Indian monsoon, it is mainly studied on the following head. First is the mechanism of Indian monsoon. Okay, then its variability, both spatially and regionally. Now, impact. So these are the major heading on this Indian monsoons are studied. So now let's look into the monsoon topic. The word monsoon is believed to have originated from Arabic word mawsim. Monsoon are basically seasonal winds that reverse their direction according to changing season. So they are known as periodic winds. So this is a traditional thought or traditional school of view which says that this monsoon have a periodic origin. That means they origin with reverse in the direction of seasonal winds. So it was firstly founded by the Arab traders who came to India through Arabian Sea. It was they first noted the occurrence of monsoon in India. So monsoon travel from sea to land in summers and from land to sea during winters. That means during summers, these monsoon winds travel from this Arabian Sea region to the mainland Indian region, and in winters they return back from the mainland region to this ocean region. So it is so this aspect or this nature of monsoon winds also lead to classification of this monsoon as land and sea breeze also. So historically the monsoon have been very important because these winds are very used by traders. So historically it was very useful for traders and seafarers to move from one place to another, especially Central Western Africa, Southeast Asia and other places. So it was the historical significance of monsoon. India gets its southwest monsoon winds in summers and northeast monsoon winds in winters, which we already discussed. But the current studies show that this monsoon's origin is also impacted by the heating of other regions also. Especially the heating of Tibetan Plateau region is also impacting the monsoon. This is because there is an increase in the temperature of this region, that means Tibetan Plateau region, a plateau region that is above Himalaya. This will lead to an intense low pressure system. A low pressure system occurs here. So this wind system is attracted to this low pressure system during summer season. So this heating of Siberian and Tibetan plateau is also a reason for occurrence of monsoon in Indian subcontinent. The southwest monsoon brings intense rainfall to most of the region of India, and northeast monsoon bring rainfall mainly to southeastern coast of India. So when on its return path also, this monsoon is carrying some rainfall to some of the region. So countries like India, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Myanmar receive most of the annual rainfall during southwest monsoon, whereas southeast China and Japan during northeast rainfall. So in Indian region, this monsoon phenomenon mainly gets more rainfall in southwest monsoon. At the same time, in China and Japan region, this is mainly occurs during their northeast retreat of monsoon. Okay, so this is a infographic which shows the origin and retreat of monsoon. So in southwest monsoon, mainly from Arabian Sea to mainland India, occurs in the summer region, especially in the heating of Tibetan Plateau region. More and more water vapor is absorbed and throughout rainfall is distributed. At the same time, retreat of monsoon occurs in the winter season from the mainland region to the ocean region, Indian Ocean region, in winter. So now let's look into the major contrast and difference between summer monsoon and winter monsoon. So summer monsoon, they blow from months of June to September. So it shows the duration of that time of flow. And they blow from high pressure on the sea to low pressure on the land. These bring rain to greater part of India. So greater part of India receives rain from summer monsoon. These blow into India as two branches, Arabian Sea branch and Bay of Bengal branches. Okay. Now let's look into winter monsoon. Also 1 minute. How these two branches occurs. So whenever this monsoon hits the Indian region, it is split into two. One flows northward through Arabian Sea and another flows through Bay of Bengal region. This branch is known as Arabian branch and this branch is known as Bay of Bengal branch. This is why this bifurcation is occurring. Now let's look into winter monsoon. The time duration is from December to February and they flow from high pressure region to low pressure area on the sea. So from land to sea, and they bring rainfall to Tamil Nadu coast. It has only one branch. It is also important. There is no bifurcation. This is the temporal map of how monsoon is occurring in India. Look on June 1st, it is hitting on the Indian coast. June 5th, it will reach to almost to central part of India. On June 10th, it will reach to central part. On June 15, it will reach up to the Uttar Pradesh region. June 15, it will reach up to northern part. So this is how temporarily the monsoons are shifting with time. Okay. So far we have discussed about Arctic amplification, monsoon and the impact of Arctic amplification on the monsoon. So this is traditionally a very favorite topic for UPSC. So every year a question comes from this region. So on this aspect we will look into what are the important previous year questions asked around this topic. So first question is, which of the following are the evidence which support the theory of gradual rise in air temperature and consequent global warming? We have to find out the correct answer. So what is the question asking? The question is asking about on the given option which evidence supports what? Gradual rise in air temperature and consequent global warming. So among the evidence given, which one support global warming event gradually? So what is first option? First option is spreading of tropical disease towards temperate region. We know that in tropical region, majority of the diseases are causing due to an increased amount of moisture in the atmosphere. For example, this moisture in the atmosphere causes diseases like the chikungunya, which is mainly caused by mosquitoes. Like this, there are several other diseases which are caused like this increased amount of moisture. This increased amount of moisture occurs when there is an increase in rising temperature of the region. So this spreading of these disease mainly causes due to rise in temperature. So this is an important indicator for global warming. And now let's look into second option. The downward shifting of snow lines of tropical mountain. So is the option true? Now let's look into it. We know that in mountain region, when there is a decrease in temperature, more and more snow reaches the bottom of the valley region. Okay. So when there is a decrease in temperature, more and more snow will be there in the valley region. At the same time, when there is an increase in temperature, what actually happens? When increase in temperature, this snow actually retreats. They will get melt. So this snow line will be decreased from the top. So, is there a downward shifting of snow line happening at the tropical mountain? No, there is an upward shifting of snow line. The snow line which was earlier here, earlier the snow line was here, it shifted to here. There is an upward shifting of snow line. So it is a wrong option. So we can eliminate option 2. That means option 2 can be eliminated. So this is wrong answer. Now let's look in the last option. Freezing of the permafrost. We know that this increasing global warming leads to what? Thawing of permafrost. That means breaking of ice. So instead of freezing, actually breaking is occurring. So option 3 is also wrong. So this also goes. So correct answer is option A. So this is how you must read to answer. You should apply your logic when reading the options. Okay. This is the explanation given about it. Okay, now let's look into another question relating to this topic. So the question is asking about which of the pair is mismatched. So which pair is mismatched here? So when such a question comes, you must firstly find out what is the relation between these pairs. So in the first option itself, we can find a relation like fossil fuel and release of CO2. So it is a process and it is an outcome. So fossil fuel burning and release of CO2. So it is a process and its outcome is CO2. It is a correct option. Nuclear power. Yes, there is nuclear power production and radioactive waste is an outcome. It is also correct. Now solar energy, greenhouse effect. So it is a tricky option. Everybody will think that it is because of solar energy that there is an increasing global warming and greenhouse effect is occurring. Actually, it is not the right reason. The solar effect is already in the earth from historical time onwards. What causes this greenhouse gas effect? Especially due to increase in concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere and also other aerosols, which increases the more trapping effect of the solar energy. So greenhouse gas effect is not an outcome of this process. Biomass burning, yes, release of CO2. It is also correct. So the question asked which is a mismatched one. So the correct answer is option C. Okay, now let's look into the next question. Next question is very simple. It is asking about definition of Arctic amplification. So we must know when such a terms come like this phrase that we do not know about such a phrase, you should split the phrase itself. So in Arctic amplification, we can split like Arctic and amplification. So in amplification itself, we can understand that something that amplifies some phenomenon. That means there is an amplification happening. So from the option, the first option itself, it shows that an increase in surface temperature. So there is an amplification showing on the Arctic more than the double global average. So it is the most appropriate answer. So increase in surface temperature over the Arctic than global average. Second option is rapid melting of ice, Arctic summer due to human-induced climate change. It is actually an cause, but it is not the correct definition. An increase in human interference, no. A general rise in average sea level, no. So the answer is option A. So this is the explanation for the answer. Okay, this is the topic we have discussed about Arctic amplification. It is very much important, both prelims and mains point of view. Please have a revise of it frequently. So hope you enjoyed the discussion. Please subscribe to the channel for the future update. Thank you.